welcome to StarCast from Planet Waves. I'm Eric Francis Coppolino, the author of the Planet Waves horoscope and the host of Planet Waves FM on the Pacifica Radio Network. Welcome to a special edition StarCast for Feb 11, 2025. This StarCast is designed to cover the Leo full moon, and I'll also be giving some updates about various different events, activities, and products from Planet Waves. It's also, I think, the first official video version of StarCast. Let's see how that goes. We are recording in video, and I'm sufficiently set up to be able to do this now. Before I go further, I want to thank all of you who support Planet Waves and support the channel with your subscriptions and product purchases. Thank you very much. You are what helps, basically keeps this whole thing going, apart from me, like getting up every morning and doing all the things that have to be done, doing them well, and doing them lovingly. Thank you to those who are patrons of the project in any form. All right, so as far as upcoming is concerned, as you may know, I do a series of readings called the Astrology Studio Readings. These are readings that come out throughout the year that are timed with the sun being in one of the sun signs of the zodiac, and the upcoming reading is going to be the Pisces reading. That's going to be called Sea Changes. The Aquarius reading has already come out. That was my first foray into video for these readings for quite a while. And then also, it's the first time that I was working with a 2-camera system. I've got a camera that now looks down at the chart that I'm reading. I'm not using it for this one because I'm recording in high definition audio. So that's you can see this going on a different computer right there. Is that right? Yeah, with that little laptop on the desk there. Okay, very good. We're getting overly sophisticated here, but I want to be able to get to you in as many places as possible, and in a form that is supportive of astrology. And it's like, well, duh, astrology is a visual form. It's a circular form of literacy. That's why I can basically, talk for 15 hours about one of these charts. Every time you turn the chart 30 degrees, it becomes a whole different chart. Anyway, so the Aquarius Studio reading is out. It's really excellent. It's a little bit quirky. It's a beautiful summation of all of my best and worst thoughts about Aquarius, in terms of Aquarius as a cultural principle, which doesn't work nearly as well as Aquarius as a personal principle. It's an important distinction for all the signs. They have a collective manifestation, and then they also have individual manifestations, and there's that place where they overlap between the two of them. So I work that territory, and it's kind of reflected in my career as doing so much work externally in the world as a journalist, and then so much inwardly, personally, privately with myself and with individuals through my work as a consulting astrologer and the photographer of the Book of Blue. All right, so the Pisces Studio coming, Sea Changes, and then followed by the Aries Studio reading, the next. Aries, well, these are both significant readings. Well, they all are significant, but like the big focus now is on this imaginary line between Pisces and Aries that is called the Aries point, and that is because Venus is working that line right now, and then next Neptune is going to be working that line for the first time in like 160 years, and then Saturn's going to be there for the first time in 29 years. So this is a very, very big year for all things that exist on this borderland between the most personal, individualistic sign, Aries, and the most collective sign, which is Pisces. And of course, those roles reverse because Aries is connected with the Aries point, which makes it wildly collective in nature, and Pisces is naturally so intuitive and introspective. So we're going to see a lot of action on that line. We're not quite there yet because right now the sun and the moon at 8:53 on Wednesday morning, 8:53 Eastern Standard Time, is going to be they're going to be opposite at about just over 24 degrees of Aquarius. And in case you're not in a format where you can actually get to the chart, here's where that's going on. No, that was Pisces. Here's the sun in Aquarius. Can we get that? Very good. Sun in Aquarius. And that's going to be conjunct Ceres in Aquarius. And I'm going to comment on that in 1 second when I put this chart down. Opposed by the moon in Leo, and then the asteroid Atropos, meaning something about a transition or an ending point is indicated in this full moon. Now, just generally speaking, Aquarius represents groups of various kinds. It represents a tendency toward a kind of very elite collectivism. It's not the wide collectivism, the populism of Pisces. It is more the like elite selection process of a group or a committee that by its nature includes and also excludes, where the tendency of Pisces is just to simply include. And there's got to be one place where everyone is welcome. There has to be, one great big tent of the zodiac, and that big tent would be Pisces. So on the theme of Aquarius, we have notice also there is a triple conjunction going on. The triple conjunction is Mercury-Sun, which just happened. That's the midpoint between Mercury retrogrades, by the way. You know that when the Sun is conjunct Mercury, either you're halfway through the Mercury retrograde or you're halfway through the time between the Mercury retrograde. So in this case, Mercury is passing past behind the Sun. And so it was the conjunction is, how do you do this with the chart not being quite accurate? But Mercury, yeah, that's accurate. Behind the Sun, imagine Mercury's out there, the Earth in the middle here, and then the Sun in between them. And then also a similar thing is happening with Ceres. Ceres has got a 4-year orbit. It's just outside the Sun. So it is Sun, Ceres, Mercury. Now, what I see in this is a lot of real bullshit news about food and the destruction of food and this claim of viruses in food. I cannot emphasize to you enough that this whole approach, this whole theory is not only wrong, but it is an attempt to destroy food. Now, how do I know this? I know this because I did 5 years of work on the 2020 crisis. And as part of that, I got into all of the deep and nuanced questions about how anyone knows a virus even exists in the first place. But the governments of the world have saved us a lot of work on bird flu by admitting that they don't have a sample. So they're doing these things like testing and then massacring thousands and thousands and thousands of poor chickens and burning them when they don't even have a sample of the thing that they're testing for. That's how serious this is. And I know that every channel is saying something different, except for like 3 or 4 different places on the entire internet, one of which is the Mark and Sam Bailey channel, another one of which is Virology by Mike Stone, another one is the Christine Massey, FOI. She makes regular appearances on Planet Waves FM. The fact that CNN and MSNBC and the Rachel Maddow Show and Amy Goodman and everybody else, Fox News, all say the same thing, don't mean nothing. Don't mean nothing. Because they are corporate property. And frankly, I am not, and I have done the work. So if you're curious about this, write to me, and I will provide you with the information. But remember, it's mind-twisting, and you end up having to change your relationship to existence when you start to tackle this whole business of what causes disease and what doesn't cause disease, which leads to the more important question of what is wellness. Now, why do I talk about Ceres? Well, Ceres is about all things related to food, particularly mass-produced food. That's the difference between the Ceres kind of food and other places we might find food, looking for indications in any chart. Ceres is agricultural. Agricultural is a form of industry. It is a form of mass production. And so that's when you see Ceres, think cereal. Think produced food. Is that Siri talking to me? Oh, God, I'm saying cereal and Siri's talking to me. The robot. The robot's stalking us, even here, right in the middle of the robot. All right, so then we go to the other side of the chart, and there's not that much interesting squaring this full moon, except for one little thing, just one little thing, and this aspect is exact today. It's not in the scanned version of the chart. I'm not going to scan it again. I'm going to put it here. The square between the Sun and Uranus. So that's the kind of peppy feeling of Tuesday. If you're thinking Tuesday's got a peppy feeling, and I recorded the program this morning, I was on fucking fire. I had to calm down slightly to do the more sedate Starcast. This is the peace-loving Astrology podcast. Anyway, that high vibration, pleasant sense of tension, that is the Sun-Uranus square. A day full of surprises. I'm not going to open up the front page of the New York Times. I will wait till tomorrow to do that. All right. So that means that so kind of rambling onward here, but the moon and the sun. Let's fix this a little bit here. Let's just fix this with I'm using my high-tech digital tools. Can you see this blue thing that's like this? That's called a T-square. And Uranus is at the head of the T-square, which means that the sun is square Uranus and the moon is square Uranus. And that's just a lot of energy. That's just a whole lot of energy. And potential turning points, and look, we've got turning points left, right, and center right now. In fact, there's so many, nobody even knows how to keep track of them. Right? We're going to need AI to keep track of them. All right, so that's the main body of this chart. It is Sun, Ceres, Mercury, opposite the moon, square Uranus. Now, also going on here, there's a couple of other what I would say are high points in this chart. One of them is that this conjunction of Saturn and Nessus has happened. This one has been brewing since July of 2024. I have been watching it carefully. I have been dropping clues into the horoscope column about the way to handle this. It is connected with the exit of Pluto from Capricorn. The connection is Capricorn to Saturn, and there is something in this conjunction of Saturn and the Centaur Nessus, not an asteroid. It's not an asteroid. I'll tell you when something's an asteroid. Nessus is a Centaur planet, a very slow-moving Centaur planet. And I have trouble remembering the orbit length of Nessus. Orbit length of Nessus is 122 years. I got to remember this. I mean, I've only been working with Nessus since 1998. 122 years. So it has a long trip around the sun, 122 years. That's not an asteroid. An asteroid is usually about 4 years, and there's certain few asteroids that are about 12 years. They're the ones, they're the Trojans, and there's another group, they're out by Jupiter. But Nessus is about consequences. Nessus is about the consequences of things. And it is demanding of a high degree of personal responsibility. And the problem with the times we live in now is that everything is delegated to some responsibility that it has nothing to do with you. And this is the main function that groups serve, is to avoid, evade, and elude responsibility. There ain't no responsibility where a group is a group is concerned. And that's why people love groups. That's the beauty of groups. That's the problem with groups, is that suddenly no one's responsible. There is no accountability. And furthermore, one person usually hijacks the group and at the same time avoids, evades, and eludes responsibility, because after all, it was the group that did it, even though they hijacked the group. Dick Cheney, for example, in the Bush II administration, that was a classic example of the hijacking of a group. By the way, there's going to be a conversation coming up on all of my channels with someone who's a consultant in group dynamics, Rebecca O'Rourke, who we had a 2-hour conversation last week about group dynamics on the topic of Pluto in Aquarius, which I didn't. We all know Pluto's in Aquarius. All right. So the Saturn-Nessus conjunction, that finally happened on the 7th, and now today is the 11th. So that was the close call of that. The within 1 degree conjunction before just as Saturn station retrograde was July 4th, 2024. Okay, so now let's take a quick look at what's going on in Aries. There's a lot happening in Aries. I'm going to put a big pink circle around that. It's not going to be on the on the chart on the Substack version of this, but let's take a look at this. So here's what's happening in Aries. Here's what's happening in Aries right there. This chart is Aries rising. Here we can see Venus clipping along. Is now at 5 and change of Aries, and Salacia. I'm working with a kind of a rear view mirror, but it's not big enough to see the things written in pencil. Salacia is at 9 degrees of Aquarius and a little bit extra. Now, so Venus is going to be dancing around this whole zone. It's going to be dancing around. It's come from Pisces. It's into Aries. It's going to form a conjunction to Salacia. It's going to go retrograde. It's going to go back over Saturn and Neptune. It's going to go back into Aries. So Venus and Aries, that has a high level of self-focus. There is a, we need a word, well, it's a kind of a self-focused sexuality. There's a real confidence that comes with Venus and Aries, but it can tend to leave people in the shade. And then also, whenever you've got a minor planet in Aries, there's this confident side that some people express with that planet in Aries, and then there's this woefully insecure side. So I happen to have like a large collection of Venus and Aries people, including relatives, a close friend, my friend Neil, and a number of different girlfriends, and my mother and my aunt, and all this stuff. So I've made a study of Venus in Aries. It is not an easy position to have. If you were born with Venus in Aries, it is worth emailing me. Let's put it that way. And, this also would be, well, let's talk about it now while we're here. I'm not going to obviously go through the bottom of it. But the problem with natal Venus in Aries, the challenge of natal Venus in Aries, is really being able to feel another person's reality. It's just, it's like, it's antipathetic to that. It's not that interested in how other people actually feel. It can be considerate, it can be kind, but there's not that absorption of the feelings and the psychic reality of others that you might find with Venus, say, for example, in Pisces or even in Taurus. In the fire signs, Venus is going to want to shine. It's going to want to be the center of attention. And it's not going to worry too much about the actual feelings of others unless other factors in the chart grant that ability, right? Okay, so Venus and Aries. Now, Venus is going to be making a conjunction to this thing Salacia, which you can see I have written in pencil. I've got a lot of pencils here. Look at this. I have a bouquet of pencils I keep on my desk. And I finally found the right ceramic pot for them. Salacia is about the sex that is appropriate for you. Am I the only person who gives regular talks on this? I mean, at least I figured out that's what Salacia is about. But my take on Salacia is it is about finding the sexual mode of expression that is appropriate to you and only you. This has nothing to do with L, G, B, T, Q, I, A, what you identify with, what pin you wear, who you caucus with. Venus, but Salacia, we could say that Salacia does kind of sum up very nicely as I am my lover in the first instance, and then you work your way outward from there. So Venus is going to make a conjunction to Salacia in Aries, and so there is this kind of exploration of what is appropriate for you. What is, I can say it 3 more times. By the way, the Book of Blue article, I've got now my longest, best article about Book of Blue and self-sexuality. I'm going to tag it onto the very bottom of the Substack. We'll put it other places. Easy to find. Look around. Write to me if you can find it. But the whole theme of Book of Blue and the Book of Blue article is finding what is right and appropriate for you as a sexual modality. The things you like to do and want to do that you know in your heart are what you want. I'm not saying that everyone gets everything they want or even that they need, but it's very helpful to know what that is and to have a concept that it exists, because most of what's going on is we keep getting told what is supposed to be right for us, what is supposed to offend us, what is supposed to be the latest great thing, who is supposed to be in and who is supposed to be out. And at the end, in the beginning and the end, it all comes down to you having a relationship with yourself that allows you to even conceive of the idea that regardless of all these external inputs, there is something true for you. There is something appropriate. There is an appropriate way to explore. Salacia. Now, what is so very interesting, and I feel like I've done like 20 presentations on this, but I couldn't tell you where one of them is. For a little under a year, since maybe last June or so, I've been talking about the Family Hunger Games cluster. Now, I always put a little red bar next to it to remind you that it exists. And the main object in the Family Hunger Games cluster is Pholus, another centaur, long period, much longer than Chiron, about 70 years, conjunct Quaoar. That is about a 300-year orbit. So this is a slow-moving configuration. And it is square, Salacia. And so the issue here is looking at the ways in which what is personally appropriate for you as a mode of sexual expression and sexual exploration is conditioned by a multi-generational family plot, a family situation. And yes, it is a family plot. They're all pretty much all dead and buried. There's probably a few crawling around on the planet, but we see the 3 generations in Pholus. We see an infinite number of generations to the source in Quaoar, and then Ixion is kind of the stinker. Ixion is the person in the mix who in either activates a certain principle in the family or contaminates a certain principle in the family with the suspension of all ethics and all morals and the very convenient supposition that some people have that right and wrong don't matter. But the truth is that right and wrong do matter, especially for you. Knowing what is right for you is really important. And so I would encourage you to know how your family influenced you, and to account for that, and to know what is right and wrong for you. I mean, and this can be subtle. I mean, my mom, bless her, was such a homophobe that in the 70s, when I wanted to get my ear pierced, I was talking about 14, 15-year-old kid. I wanted to get my ear pierced. This had nothing to do with being gay. I had no thought of being gay. I wasn't, but it was seen by her as a symbol of being gay. Oh, and I was hanging out with the gay guy across the street. Ooh, I'm getting corrupted. So it took me a while to figure out that I think she said she'd throw me out of the house if I got my ear pierced. I mean, come on. I mean, here she is, like, living the 70s life, let's just say. Okay, heterosexually, but still, and all, living the 70s life. And she's going to throw me out of the house. It took me years to figure out this is homophobia in action. So if that, what's your version of that? Like, what did they say to you? I mean, the Italian father, he's gonna, if that boy kisses you, he's gonna get the shit beat out of him. What was it? So everyone's got something. Everyone has got something that their family said was going to get them thrown out of the house, basically. Yeah, and there are some very few families that support people. And to her credit, my mom did provide me a sex education and was like quietly supportive of my sexual development, but she had that homophobic thing stuck in her throat. So we've all got this in some way, and the whole society has it. And what the hell is Trump talking about with the Ministry of Faith? And we're going to have government enforced Christianity, but we're going to have little Christian drones flying around over us when we say something. Question the prophet Donald. All right. So also going on in Aries, and this is two more things happening. Saturn is heading for Aries. See there, Saturn there, Mr. Saturn there. It looks as only at 18 degrees, but it's going to get there quick. And then Mr. Neptune's going to get there first. They're both going that way. And then Saturn and Neptune are going to dance around on the Aries point, basically. Next is this thing. Where are you? Here it is. Here you are. Let's go zoom up on real close with that. This is the Chiron Aries conjunction. The Chiron Aries conjunction hasn't happened since 71, 72. It happened in Aries. It's happening again, as was said in Twin Peaks. And this is really the big news. I think that planets Saturn and Neptune crossing the Aries point, definitely big news. But that really peaks in 2026. It is underway in this spring, but the thing that's going to be powering through that's going to be thundering, is the conjunction of Chiron, ultra slow mover, and Eris, ultra slow mover. And this is when I wrote a book called The Awakening. It's still available. The best sun sign and rising sign readings in audio and written format. And The Awakening is the Chiron Eris conjunction. That is the wake up. Now, the Saturn Neptune conjunction would be more like synthesis, right? Because you see, like, I figured this out looking at events, and it's connected with the Saturn-Neptune cycle. And this is about synthesizing strange substances and chemicals and the hydrogen bomb, and basically creating things that don't exist. And so we are in this opportunity, first of all, awakening, Chiron conjunct Eris, and synthesis, the conjunction of Saturn and Neptune, which is the fabrication of the manifestation of something in the very near future that is not exist today. And so this is a winning combination. If you are willing to be daring and to put the astrology to work for you, that is my intention in all the work that I do. These astrology studio readings, the horoscopes, the articles, these podcasts, Minimal Astrology and Planet Waves FM, but it's every place else. I am doing my very best to synchronize you and to give you the tools to use the astrology to make the most of your limited time on Earth and to see in the big sense what time it actually is. So The Awakening, still available. All these products are available at astrology.boutique. Astrology.boutique. I'm going to give that another name too, but that's how you do it. That's it. It's a top-level domain, astrology.boutique, and you'll see The Awakening, and you will see also the Pisces and Aries studio readings and many other things. The monthly horoscope is up there for free, so you can check that out. Many samples. Okay, so here we are in these wild, very trying times when I always feel like when I'm speaking to you, I am talking to a world that is sitting on a bubble that is floating through space, not knowing when this bubble is going to burst. The Earth is certainly a bubble floating through space. It is not going to burst, but the condition on the planet is very, very stressed out, and it's important that you take care of yourself spiritually first and foremost. Give yourself emotional and mental space to exist, and do your very best to take care of yourself physically, and assist the people around you who need your help when you know it is not going to hurt either of you. That is straight out of A Course in Miracles, that you help when you know that it's not going to hurt. All right, that is what I have to say. Happy full mooning. You know where to find me. All my contact information is at planetwaves.fm. The new program is up, so check for that. It'll come out in Substack in a little while, and we're going to be doing this one in video format as well. All right, signing off from the fair burg of Kingston, New York on 2/11, 2:03 p.m. Lots of love, and bye for now.